Chapter 3 Kai. It's been a month and a half since we left that boy in the water. Now I lie in the dirt and fire comes down from above. It's a song, I tell myself, same as I always do. The bass sound of the heavy shots, the soprano of the screams, the tenor of my own fear, all part of the music. Don't try to run. I told the others too, but new decoys never listen. They believe what the society told them on the way out here. Do your time in the villages, and we'll bring you home in 6 months. We'll give you citizen status again. No one lasts 6 months. When I climb out, there will be black buildings and splintered gray sagebrush, burned, fallen bodies strewn along the orange sandy earth. And now there's a break in the sound, and I swear, the airships are on the move. I know what draws their fire. Early this morning, boots crunched on the frost behind me. I didn't look back to see who followed me to the edge of the village. "What are you doing?" someone asked. I didn't recognize the voice, but that didn't mean much. They're always sending new people out here in the villages from the camp. We die faster and faster these days. I knew even before they pushed me onto the train back in Oria that the society would never use us to fight. They have plenty of technology and trained officers for that. People who aren't aberrations or anomalies. What the society needs, what we are for them, are bodies. Decoy villagers. They move us, put us wherever they need more people to draw fire from the enemy. They want the enemy to think the outer provinces are still inhabited and viable, although the only people I've seen here are ones like us, dropped down from the sky with just enough to keep us alive until the enemy kills us. No one goes home, except me. I came home. The outer provinces are where I once belonged. The snow, I told the new decoy. I'm looking at the snow. "It doesn't snow here," he scoffed. I didn't answer. I kept looking up at the top of the nearest plateau. It's something worth seeing. White snow on the red rocks. While it melts, it turns from white to crystal clear and shot through with rainbows. I've been up high before when the snow came down. It was beautiful the way it feathered the winter-dead plants. Behind me, I heard him turn and run back toward the camp. "Look up on the plateau," he yelled, and the others steered and called back in excitement. "We're going up to get the snow, Kai," someone hollered at me a few moments later. "Come on." "You won't make it," I told them. "It will melt too fast." But no one listened to me. The officials still keep us thirsty, and what water we do have tastes like the insides of our canteens. The closest river now is poisoned, and rain doesn't come often. One cold swallow of fresh water, I can see why they wanted to go. "You sure?" one of them called back to me, and I nodded again. "You going, Vic?" someone called out. Vic stood up, shielded his hard blue eyes with one hand, and spit down into the frosted sagebrush. "No," he said. "Kai says it'll melt before we get there, and we've got graves to dig." "You're always making us dig," one of the decoys complained. "We're supposed to act like farmers. That's what the society says." He was right. They want us to use the shovels and seeds from the village sheds to plant winter crops and to leave the bodies where they lie. I've heard other decoys say that that's what they do in the other villages. They leave the carcasses for the society or the enemy or any animals who might want them. But Vic and I bury them. It started with the boy and the river, and no one stopped us yet. Vic laughed, a cold sound. In absence of any officials or officers, he has become the unofficial leader out here. And sometimes the other decoys forget that he doesn't actually have any power within the society. They forget that he's an aberration too. "I don't make you do anything. Neither does Kai. You know who does? And if you want to take your chances up there, I won't stop you. The sun climbed higher, and so did they. I watched for a while. Their black plainclothes and the distance between the village and the plateau made them look like ants swarming a hill. Then I stood up and started back to work, digging holes in the graveyard for the ones who died in the firing the night before. Vic and the others worked next to me. We had 7 holes to dig, not too many, considering the intensity of the firing and the fact that there were almost 100 of us to lose. I kept my back to the climbers, so I didn't have to see how the snow was all gone by the time they reached the top of the plateau. Climbing up there was a waste of time. It's also a waste of time to think about people who are gone. And judging by the way things are out here are going, I don't have a lot of time to waste. But I can't help it. On my first night in Maple Tree Burrow, I looked out of the window in my new bedroom, and not one thing was familiar and seemed like home. So I turned away. And then Ada came through the door, and she looked enough like my mother that I could breathe again. She held out her hand with the compass in it. Our parents only had 1 artifact and 2 daughters. Your mother and I agreed that we would take turns sharing it, but then she left. She opened my hand and put the compass inside. We had the same artifact, and now we both have the same sun. It's for you. I can't have it, I told her. I'm an aberration. We're not allowed to keep things like this. Nevertheless, Ada said, it is yours. And then I gave it to Kasha to keep, and she gave me the green silk. I knew they'd take it away from me someday. I knew I would never get to keep it. So that's why, when we walked down from the hill the last time, I paused and tied it to a tree, quickly, so she wouldn't notice. I like to think of it out there on top of the hill under wind and rain, because in the end, you can't always choose what to keep. You can only choose how you let it go. Kasha. I was thinking of her when I first saw the snow. I thought, we could climb up there, even if it all melted. We'd sit and write words on the still, damp sand. We could do that if you weren't gone. But then I remembered, you're not the one who's gone. I am. A boot appears now at the edge of the grave. I know whose it is, by the notches carved around the edge of the sole, a method some use out here to mark time survived. No one else has as many cuts, as many days tracked. You're not dead, Vic says. No, I say, pushing myself to my feet. I spit dirt out of my mouth and reach for the shovel. Vic digs next to me. Neither of us talk about the people we won't be able to bury today, the ones who try to climb to the snow. Back in the village, I hear the decoys calling to each other and to us. 3 more dead here, they cry out, and then fall silent as they look up. Now one of the decoys who went up to the plateau will be coming back. I find myself hoping the impossible, that at least they quenched their thirst before the fire, that they had mouths full of clean, cold snow when they died.